Let me just go back to this speech at the United Nations by the US President Donald Trump. I want to show you another clip from this. This is the, I don't know, ecumenical Donald Trump saying that he's willing to work with everyone.
I've come here today to offer the hand of American leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world. And it's a world that we'll be much happier with.
He's willing to work with everyone. Let me bring in Dave Sharma, the Assistant Minister for Treasury and, of course, a former Australian ambassador to Israel. He joins us live from Sydney. Good to talk to you, Dave. The key takeout to me from this speech were a couple of policy areas where Donald Trump just accentuated how far apart he is and his government is from the Albanese Labor government. And first among those, of course, is the issue of the Middle East and this recognition of the non-existent state of Palestine. Donald Trump could not have been more opposed to that, and he effectively criticised countries who are turning up at the UN to do that. What was your take?
That was my take. He was very critical of countries unilaterally recognising a Palestinian state absent any of the preconditions to make sure such a state's committed to peaceful coexistence with Israel. And I mean, interestingly, one of the major meetings he had at the UN afterwards was with a large number of Arab states, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, I think also Indonesia and Turkey, to talk about a post-war plan for Gaza. And I think that just shows you that whilst these countries are at the podium, including Australia, recognising a Palestinian state and dealing in fictions and platitudes, he's actually doing the diplomatic work you'd expect to resolve this conflict and put the Middle East on a more durable footing. And that's the sort of effort that I would have expected Australia to traditionally be engaged in, rather than empty symbolism and rhetoric. Yeah,
I noticed in that phone call we saw on the street where Emmanuel Macron was on the mobile to Donald Trump trying to get through the traffic.
Jam.
He was trying to set up a meeting. Trump wanted to meet with Macron and Qatar. So obviously still focused on Gaza and what's unfolding there. Let's hope there's some progress underway. Now, the other big policy difference or contrast with Australia is on climate change and net zero. Now, Trump uses what critics would call denier rhetoric. Let's put that to one side. He's very focused on the pragmatism of energy. He says net zero is a nonsense. Renewables are a nonsense. You've got to have cheap, reliable energy. He's right, isn't he? Isn't it about time the coalition got on board for this practical approach to energy?
Well, I don't agree with everything Trump said in that speech, but I do agree with his basic insight that cheap energy is at the heart of a well-performing, strong economy. And that's been Australia's history and experience as well. When we've had cheap energy, we've been internationally competitive. In the last decade or more, when we've saddled ourselves with expensive energy, not only have consumers paid more, but industries have become uncompetitive. And, you know, we as the coalition need to be pursuing cheaper energy for manufacturers, for industry, for producers and for consumers, because ultimately energy is an input into every feature of the modern economy.